Recognize Senator Tuberville, please.
Good morning. General, Stryker vehicles are on your unfunded priority list. Can you take a moment and explain why you prioritize these tanks?
Well, what I'm trying to do, Senator, right now is produce the best Army with the resources we get, and that's what's in the budget request. But also, I have a requirement to list, if there was additional funding, what they would be, and those are the priorities that were unfunded, and that's why they're on the list. If you take a look at some of the things on the list, there's some people things we want to do. We're very concerned about, where our soldiers are living and housing. And on this budget particularly, there's cost to complete. I think there's 25 projects on that UPL list that we need additional money because costs have risen to finish those projects that are authorized and appropriated for. And then some of the things are things that change. As we go through, we're looking at Stingers right now is on the UPL because we didn't anticipate giving a whole bunch of those away like we have, and we also want to, if they're going to be used in the future, rather than building old stuff, we'd rather upgrade the systems we have if we're going to replenish them.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, President Biden pledged that we would spend billions of dollars to make every military vehicle climate friendly. I find this ironic considering the President's 23 budget requests only 102 Strykers, 67 below the Army's established baseline for funding half a brigade. You have any comments on that?
Well, Senator, it gets back to the trade-offs that we make when we're producing the budget. We want to fund modernization. We want to, when we look at the Strykers, we look at the Abrams, we look at the Bradleys, and we look at the Paladin PIM howitzers. We're trying to modernize the enduring force. They're going to be around for a while, but at the same time, we want to make sure we keep the momentum going on our future systems, which I absolutely believe we must have if we're going to be the Army we need to be in the future. So that's the trade-off. And then, the way the system works is I come back as the chief and provide those unfunded priorities list, and that's what ends up here. And then it's up to you all to decide what you want to do with it.
Yeah. Secretary, do you believe that with the shortcomings now that we'll be able to reach our maximum that we need in terms of Strykers by 2030? With the shortcomings, you think we'll be able to catch up with that in the next 8 or 9 years?
Senator, I think, that's hard to predict without knowing what the top line is going to be for the Army in the future years. I think, frankly, what we'll probably do and what, future secretaries and future chiefs will do is each year as we put forward the budget request, look at how to balance, as General McConville said, between investing in those new systems and also continuing to modernize those enduring systems.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of catching up to do if we continue to cut like that. Obviously, it's going to put us way behind, but I understand what you're saying. General, in 2020, you testified, quote, 74% of the active component brigade combat teams have been at the highest level of tactical readiness, end quote. For the Army, who is responsible for assessing the readiness of a brigade combat teams, who is responsible for assessing the teams? Is it in your mind?
Well, when we talk about the readiness, it's actually the commanders. The commanders, have certain criteria, what their personnel status is, what their readiness status is. Have they gone through a combat training center and achieved the level of training? And so those all come together to give us an assessment.
Has it always been that way, or has it been a third party involved?
Well, there's people that check what the commanders are saying, and then we have this thing called combat, which is a really good check. And so when we call up a commander and say, you're going to Eastern Europe, you got 7 days to go there, and they're able to do that, we think that's a pretty good check.
Do you feel like a third party, but not the brigade chain of command, such as an IG, would give a very positive feedback from what we're doing now in terms of our readiness?
Well, I don't know what the IG would say, but what I do is talk to our combat training centers that run them through a very rigorous 2 to 3 week period. I talk to commanders who are responsible and accountable for that, and then really the proof's in the execution. How well do they do when it comes to a combat
Your experience in the past are combat commanders tougher, or the IG tougher in terms of assessing readiness in your experience?
My experience is I trust my commanders.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you,